Welcome to Hardin Life Live. We are the Hardins, and we are a family of counselors and coaches who are committed to hopefully bringing you a fresh perspective on how to live your best life, both biblically and therapeutically. So we are sitting here today with Lisa Donohue, and she is specifically, we call her an expert in an area of grief and soul rest. She's really been a model for that for us. But we have been talking this month about suffering and the different areas of our lives that suffering can occur. We've talked about spiritual suffering. We've talked about relational suffering. We're going to next week talk about emotional suffering, but this week we're talking about physical suffering. Sometimes that looks different for different people, but specifically in the area of just any kind of disease, and from cancer to broken bones, just anything that holds us back physically from being able to live our best life. And Lisa, you wrote an excellent blog on this topic and just shared with us what really the opportunity is in our physical suffering, to kind of turn that suffering into joy. But would love to hear from you just why that topic is relevant.
Yeah, well, it's so relevant. I don't know anyone that avoids physical suffering. I mean, we've all been in that season of life where we didn't anticipate it, didn't see it coming. And you move into it begrudgingly. It's frustrating. It's inconvenient. Just when you thought you couldn't put any more on your plate or manage any more appointments or times or schedules, there it is. Barking at you, and you don't have a choice but to address physical suffering. It literally changed the trajectory of your day to day. For many people, physical suffering is long suffering. I think of people with chronic pain that I've worked with, counseled, heard from, love, and just the suffering that comes with that, and the encouragement of seeing them continue on with life and pushing through, but being with them in that is difficult. It's a trial for sure.
Yeah.
I
We
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, well, we say in our workshops when we're talking about this, the four-dimensional parts of us, our physical circle is the most influential. It's like you get a headache, you have pain, you break a bone, it changes everything.
It does. It pulls you out of all your social obligations sometimes. And so the physical pain leads to other things, social exclusion, isolation, which leads to sometimes emotional downtroddenness. We experience that. A lot of times with physical pain, with the unexpectedness of it and the long term of it, it's a natural place for depression to land its little feet and to stay for a while. And so I see that when I coach clients with cancer, just the unexpected physicalness of cancer and how it has changed everything in their life. Like you were saying, it changes their social circles, their expectations, their plans. It wreaths of emotion, mostly anger. Not many are skilled in vocalizing. It's almost like you have to learn how to find that. Yeah, it just affects everything, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it does. And, you know, I have seen that reality just starting to age. So it's like
Yes.
I'm not in the cancer clinic today, but the frustration with what my body cannot do on as I'm watching myself move forward, it's a new dimension I'm having to add to my already busy world. And it's like, I don't want to do that. And so I was just, really taken that instead of us sort of resenting it, trying to get away from it, the reality, like you said at the beginning, it's inevitable. We're going to get there. If you're not in it, you will be. And if you think you're out of it, you're just waiting till the next round.
Mhm.
So, what I loved about your blog is that you basically challenge us to look at it from a different lens of how to embrace it honestly, in a little bit of a uh, I would say, from as a believer, of,
Yeah.
of in taking it so that we can get a different attitude than I have a lot of times, which is get me out of here. I don't want this.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Well, first, absolutely. What I don't want to do is have anyone hear a church answer or a Sunday school answer regarding pain that pushes people away from faith and away from the church. Pain scares people. It scares the people you're friends with. It scares you. And so most people will minimize it in the effort to stay engaged. And so I want to first say to pain, it's real. As many people will vocalize, it sucks. I mean, it's hard. You don't anticipate it. It slows you down. It changes life. So what I don't want to do is not validate the pain. That's real. But as we validate it, as we push into it, learning how to ask for help is hard. And so in that, we learn how to let go of some of our pride, saying, I'm fine, I can push through, suck it up, all those things, saying, no, I do really need help, but I don't know who to ask. I do need to find the right doctor, but I'm not sure who to turn to. I do need to see a counselor, but I'm not sure. Do you see a counselor for pain? So there's all these questions that come up with pain that don't normally you wouldn't think of addressing otherwise. And I can only speak from myself, from a cancer perspective, having that street cred of cancer, unfortunately, it does lend you to become much more compassionate in the area of your long suffering. So for me, I'm able to come alongside the long suffering of others with cancer, often near the end of life, and say, yeah, this is really hard and we didn't anticipate this. You're just kind of there and in it with them, and being in it with people saying, your pain's not too much for me. And it's not too much for you, but it's hard. And in that, we become a body that embraces empathy differently. And you come to find out that that suffering really that you've experienced brings someone else a likeness and a love that no one else could provide, a compassion level that actually might draw people into faith rather than push them away. So that's, I mean, I've experienced that. I know it's the long suffering of cancer, the, what do I want to say, the obnoxiousness of all the appointments, which you both love and hate. I mean, it's just like, with all the appointments and it's not just an hour appointment, it's a half a day or a day. And, and your pain affects the pain of your family. So the outflow of those who are in community or who have families is that your pain, you can't do anything about it, and it does affect others. And that's a really hidden thing that is most don't like.
Well, I love that in your blog, you actually address others on when they are experiencing the impact of you being in pain. It's like, how do you respond? And that was so helpful too. So definitely want y'all to be checking the blog for, if you know someone who is going through physical suffering, that there are some ways. I don't know if they were from your personal experience, Lisa, what not to do and what to do, but really
That's important.
it, sometimes somebody just needs to say what's not helpful.
Yes.
Bless her heart. That's not helpful.
Yes.
Feel
No, I
bless
love
my heart.
that.
Would you please pray for me and tell me how? Or whatever. It's just so funny what I've learned, and I've done the same thing. So I speak from experience on both sides, is that we say things to bring comfort to ourselves because their pain is hard and we don't like pain. And so sometimes learning what not to say is a really good gift to those who are suffering.
I love that. That right there is worth the whole reading the blog. To give a good gift to people in suffering is to know what not to do, because I think of, y'all know Abigail's story with the birthmark. One of the things that when she said growing up with everyone's reaction to that, she said, I just wish people knew what not to do, that would have helped my pain so much more in adjusting with the reality I could not change was this very thing. Well, I hate to cut us off this week. I could ask a lot more about this, but we are out of time. So, gang, seriously, we all deal with suffering. Read Lisa's blog. She addresses it from both one who has suffered and how to go along with others. And that's at hardinlife.com. And we will look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for having